Hey guys, back for another video. Today we'll be doing what if Asta was an elf. Now I did part 1 short because, well, it wasn't short, but it wasn't as long as it was supposed to be. But that does not matter because we're getting into part 2, and part 2 might be a longer than I actually originally meant it to be, because basically this is just training and probably the first mission that Asta, Noel, and Magna went on together. It probably the first mission that's probably where it's probably gonna end. I might go further, but other than that, I don't know. So we're gonna go back to where I left off. I left off at Asta, getting his going to get his grimoire. So we're gonna start from there. Asta reached the room where they're supposed to get the grimoires, and Asta stood in the middle, and people were surrounding him. Asta was a very cute and handsome and adorable looking person. I don't know how all of those things can mix together into a person, but to every girl in the world, he was the ideal man. He was kind. He was royalty, which they didn't know yet. He was strong. He was handsome. He was cute. He was adorable and gentle. The ideal man. Or ideal elf, if you want to say. But we all know Asta is not just an elf. He's an elf and a demon, but I mean, who cares, really? Who gives a fuck? Could not be me. Anyways, sorry. Asta would go, and everyone would see the grimoires. People looked at Asta because he didn't get one yet. But then they heard the rumbling sound. They heard the whole place shaking. It was loud, and it was really, really loud. Some could hear walls breaking, and until you heard a boom, and then a grimoire came flying out of the left wall, the left east side of the wall. Then it flew right into Asta, fell towards Asta. The grimoire was beaten and tattered, but when Asta touched the grimoire, it was different. A image of a person came out. Well, not an image, but it was a woman, but you could see right through her. And as that happened, you could see two manas barreling towards Hot Village, or 3 to 4. But we don't have to focus on them yet. This person had a white hair, much like Asta, but unlike Asta, she had green eyes. She was wearing a snow white dress, and she had wings on her back. What looks like a dove's wings, but hey. When Asta saw her, he saw an angel. His book, or his grimoire, started to glow, and it kind of became green, with golden markings on the book, with a 5-leaf clover in gold. The pages, when they start to roll through, the book opened and the pages started to flicker to the end of the page. But when the pages were going, it became black with yellow markings, being the spells written in gold, and the page itself being black. But on the back of on the front of the grimoire had a 4-leaf clover, and on the back had a 5-leaf clover. But under the 5-leaf clover there was a red and black rose under the 5-leaf clover. But everything was green besides those two. And yellow. Green and gold. Sorry. She said that. Then the lady spoke up. She said, "My dear Asta." Asta looked at her. He could remember her from somewhere, but he couldn't put his finger on it. But all the royals knew who this person was. This was the prince. The princess was supposed to be the queen of the Clover Kingdom. They figured out that she died a long time ago, but it was still stunning to see her. And then at that second, a glowing light appeared into the grimoire ceremony. I still looked around, and he saw Julius, Yami, Nozel, and the rest of the captains. Julius looked at Asta's mom, as we know her. Asta's mom, and said, "Princess, you're dead." She would look at Julius and give a small smile. A painful one, but a smile at that. She would then start to explain. She would try to explain how that she left the kingdom and that she went off and kinda got pregnant with Asta. Which Asta was shocked that this is his mother, but he didn't interrupt her yet. But something was also coming towards Asta. But I'll explain what they were later, at a later date. I'm sorry if you can hear the background noise. It's the radio playing. I'm sorry. The news, coronavirus, everybody got up on the fucking radio. I don't understand. I don't know why my mother has a radio. I don't know what was the use of a radio, but like I knew what a radio is and what the use is, but like why you still have it? But anyways, I'm at my grandmother's house and I'm probably gonna stay here for the eventual future, but like I don't know. The Apple future, but I don't care. So she started to explain how that she met Asta's father and that she got pregnant, but then she then started to go into the darker parts and about her illness and our mana illness and how it affected Asta's how it was affecting Asta. Also, Asta's magic was not going; it was also hurting Asta, so she couldn't bear herself to hurt Asta and send him to the orphanage. This is where Asta looked at her. He always thought his mother abandoned him, or her parents abandoned him, but I guess not. And this was the first time ever Asta heard his full name. Asta Lucifer Clover the Third. She would hug Asta and apologize and say sorry a lot of freaking times. It reminded him of him and how he used, whenever he got in trouble with Sister Lily, he would always apologize a lot. And Sister Lily picked up on this because remember they were actually there. They were actually at the grimoire ceremony, so I put them inside. So Sister Lily saw where he got that from. So she knows the apology things come from her. And Asta would hug her back, and for the first time ever, Asta cried in his life. You see, Asta never cried for anything. He didn't cry because of really anything. So like seeing him cry, which was a big shock to him. And I don't know if Noelle got her grimoire at Hodge Village. I don't know where the royals get their no. The royals get their grimoire. I don't even understand, bitch. Oh my god, my god. Okay. Asta got all the further emotions, and this is where another mage came in. They said that we know that you are here, my queen, my princess, because technically she's there, so they still have to call her princess, even though she's dead, like straight up dead, and no one knows how she's here. They still said that they need to test Asta's blood, so it would only take a minute. She had no problem with this. She had about 3 to 4 hours here, so it doesn't really matter to her. The blood magic mage came and poked Asta's finger with a needle of some sort. When she poked Asta's finger, blood started to came out, but it didn't spill on Asta's. It didn't go down on Asta's hand. It went up into the air, and showed a person in black and white, but his body and like face was in black and the behind him was white, so they couldn't identify who it was. But it was Asta there, Asta's mother, and a very long family line, so they couldn't actually see the end of it. So it was like, it only matters that he was the princess's son, so it doesn't really matter. And the king is also there, and he's furious, like he is mad AF, because with Asta's birth, When Asta turns 16, he can decide to take the throne or make him a figurehead for him to do whatever he fucking wants. Basically. So he's furious. He's beyond furious. He's livid. He doesn't want this shit for nothing. He got to be king and he has been enjoying it for the last few years. He was actually glad that his family member got missing, but oh no, she created an offspring. Now he's just all the way fucked up. But anyways, Asta looked at his mom and hugged her and kept on hugging her until she started to explain. I explained her whole story and backstory and stuff like that. And she told him it was time to leave and that she hopes you'll take care of your wives and flicked him on his head. Oh, and then she said, "Oh, Asta, never let them play with your heirs." Asta would ask why. Because you'll become vulnerable then. Asta asked, why would I become vulnerable? Because of my heirs. Asta's mom would tell Nozal, touch Asta's ears, or touch the behind of Asta's ears. Nozal says yes, princess, and goes behind Asta and like kind of rubs the back of his ear. And Asta's gained a blush on his face, and he starts to sweat, and his knees start to buckle. This is the first time Asta ever feels something like this. It was weird to him, and he didn't like it. He didn't like it one bit. It made him feel like a girl. Like, he didn't like that. Now I decided to put this in. If you've watched any elf anime, I'm going with this, but it's gonna be your first this time, and it's gonna be Asta who's the one that's gonna be unfeared here. Anyways, okay. Anyways, I need to stop. Asta gets grimoire, but let's time skip before Asta gets grimoire. It was Nero's turn. Nero's grimoire came back down, but it was had a more purplish look to it, and had golden markings on it this time. She flipped through the pages, where she had all her old spells that she knew, and then looked at new spells that she got. She saw that she had added affinity, mana sealing chains. Damn it, and she had paper talisman spells. So you can place seals on paper or pieces of paper or talismans, whatever you want to use to justify it, but like it's still the same thing in the end. So yeah. So she took those up and she gets her grimoire back, and she has her sword and her dress. She's drippy. She stays drippy and she stays hard. Now, if I was to do a power scale, I'll say Noel, Mimosa, and Neri are actually vice captain level at this point. So they're like, they can like throw hands with some of the vice captains. Like Noel, for instance, can throw hands with the vice captains of the Silver Eagles. She can throw hands with him. She might not win, but she would actually hurt him to the point where either his arm comes off or his leg come off, or if Noel wouldn't try to kill him, so that's why I say she would lose. But if it came to a death match, yeah, Noel would kill him. See that sword she has? That's over fucking powered. She can cut through magic. So, yeah. Anyways, I get into describing her when we meet her in the Hodge village, and like it. Okay, so Noel, Neri comes up to like Asta's mom, and Asta's mom says kawaii, if you didn't know, kawaii. And she runs up to, she rubs her face against Neri's cheek. And Neri's she's just kind of standing there with a like impassive face, which kind of reminds her of Asta, which she most likely got that from. Well, technically, no, Neri actually technically didn't get that from Asta, but she's gotten used to it like that. Like, he always looks like that most of the time, but now she finds a way to to interrupt Asta's thoughts a bit. She she's found a way. She's found her passage to break that unfazed face of Asta's. So we'll get into that later, okay? And she would float to Yami and kind of like thank Yami for um for taking care of her son. And Yami would say no problem, and just he would just be chill about it, because Yami actually knew Asta was the prince from the whole time, and he admitted it. He said he knew. Well, not from the first time he met Asta, but the first time that he used wind magic. It reminded him a lot of you. I wasn't 100% sure, but I knew he had some relationship to you. He used your magic just like you did. He used wind magic just like you did. He was strong just like you. He had some personality traits of you. The apologizing thing, the rubbing the back of his neck thing, the lazy thing. Yeah, and when Yami said lazy, she kinda had a sheepish look on her face and was like, I started to scratch the back of her head, which Yami just pointed out. So Yami said he knew for a very long time, but he didn't knew if that she was completely his son or a relative of hers. But anyways, Julius was kind of mad at Yami for that, because even if it was just a relative of hers, he should have still told him, and just like straight up. So they're having like a little argument, but this is where she has to go, and Asta's on his like knees, and she's just like on she's behind Asta, and just like has her hands around Asta's neck, her hands wrapped around Asta's neck, and just like chilling like a villain, bro. Just chilling. And then Asta's like, hey, chill. And then there we go. Asta's finished with this. Not finished with it. And then we heard a boom. And as that boom came, a lot of people are just like silent, because first they witnessing the prince and they don't want to like interrupt the princess or anything. And second, this is just a whole mix of emotions. They're happy to see their queen, but now they know that she's dead. But then they're happy again since they know they have a prince now. So yeah, a prince that's actually from the royal family. Just want to point this out. Whatever his fucking name is, that king, that I can never remember his name. I can remember Nozel's name, but I can't remember yo ass. And you know how hard it is for me to say Nozel, but I can still say it more than yo ass. I just can't say your name. It's just trash. You're trash. It doesn't even matter for me. And you know how light magic gives you a slow that makes you fast. This nigga not fast in the slightest, and his light magic is thought of as slow for light magic. Light magic moves at the speed of light, and your ass is slower than the speed of fucking light. I don't understand your ass. But anyways, that's not my problem. Let's get back to the boom. So the boom happened, and then two glowing orbs rushed towards Asta and start circling the top of Asta's head. Then the glow dims down, and they can see the demon dweller sword and a demon destroyer sword. Then his grimoire opens to a blank page and goes into the book. Now Asta's pages are kind of he has a lot of spells under his belt right now, because his high magic control, and he perfecting a lot of magic control when he was older. And now I remember something. I did not give Arya spirit. I'm gonna give her sealing spirit, but guys, I want you to name the spirits that I gave them. So name the spirits that I gave. Remember, I gave no Mimosa, Noel, Neri, and Yami spirits. I gave Yami a dark spirit. I gave Mimosa a plant spirit. I gave Noel a water spirit, and I gave Neri a sealing spirit. And since they're from a great war, they look more like humans. So there's no salamander and all of that shit. There's none of that. They're actually, their things actually kind of look like humans, but obviously has differential from that. But Yami's spirit has a human-like shape, but he's completely made out of darkness. So yeah. And on the topic of Neri though, y'all told me that her name is Neri, not Sekiri. Her name is Sekiri. Her real name is Sekiri. I read the manga. I went back and read the manga for some damn reason, but okay. I went back and read it. Her name is Sekiri. Her real name is Sekiri. They gave her the name Neri after a long time. And I still don't understand why y'all niggas told me that her name is not Neri. You know what? Fuck you. I'm mad because, like, how could you deceive me like that? Y'all betrayed me. Y'all made me believe that, like, Neri, her name was Neri. I mean, yeah, her name is Neri. I'm not gonna lie. Her name is Neri now, but before it was Sekiri, and you guys made me feel stupid because I got her name wrong because I felt like I got her name wrong, even though I had read it. And I was like, hey, is either I can't spell or the fuck is that? And then I went back. Her name is Sekiri. So guys, don't make that mistake again. Y'all made me feel stupid. Anyways, okay, done with my rant. So let's go. Now, Asta, so Yami would still go. So time skip would happen. Now the chain mage would still attack, but Asta would finesse him in like 60, 40, 65 different ways. So I don't really. I'm gonna gloss over that. Now let's talk about Asta's swords. Now Asta's swords can take light magic, so he can imbue light magic with his swords, and also he can use anti magic with his swords. But here's a different thing with his swords now. His swords are actually sharp now. It's silver, the blade is silver now, and the hilt is golden, with a diamond gem at each end of the sword. At each end of the hilt, there's a diamond on it. So, like, yeah. So, Asta's golden, to be honest. Anyways. So Yami would take them out to the forest where they trained before, and they still keep on training. But let's talk about Mimosa and Noelle's fits, right? Mimosa has a black shirt with a thin white a smooth thin white jacket that ends at her first rib. So like at her first rib, like below her shoulder, like it ends there. And on the jacket it has like Asta's the three stars that Asta has on his headband. But no, he has it on his like back of his like one strap jacket thingy. And yeah. And Mimosa has on a green dress, which she does not have on her jacket. She has something like Asta's black shirt. She only has a green dress. And like has on some boots and some stockings. She has some boots and stockings, and like and her grimoire holder is green with a diamond where the clover is. In the diamond of the middle of the clover with her grimoire holder. Then she has the hilt on her other side of her. On her other side, she has the hilt for her sword and the sheath. So Noelle also has she has two things to hold. Like she has her grimoire holder and her sword holder, just like she does. And basically, you can actually see their curved bodies right this time. I don't wanna, cause they're technically underaged right now, so I'm not supposed to say stuff like that. No, wait, I can't. Ha! I put my videos for adults, not children. Ha! Fuck you talking about? I don't care anymore. She got their voluptuous jugs, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I didn't go through with it, but I'm still not doing it because I'm trying to get am I monetized already? I believe I'm monetized already, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, but anyways, I'm trying to not get demonetized. Okay. Um. So they. So yeah, that's how they look. And actually, Neri has a little curves on her body. Her jugs are not as big as Mimosa and Noel's, but it's actually a very decent size. And her curves and her short exterior makes her look even more cute. And Asta kind of teases her with that all the time, but it's like a playful, cute little tease. But she does take offense to it. So this one time that Asta told her about it, she kind of got a little bit more mad than she usually does, and she kind of like smirks at Asta. Asta looks at her and he kind of remembers something. You remember that air touch he had, and he didn't like that feeling. Then she disappeared. Asta was trying to look around for her, and he was saying, "Oh no, I shouldn't have." And then he just starts running, and he finds Neri talking to Mimosa and Noel until they look at Asta with fake stars in their eyes, with all three of them, and they start chasing after Asta. Asta starts backing back, but a branch was on him, and they jump onto Asta. Sorry, they jump onto Asta. Now, while Mimosa moves up Asta's body, they bite dung on his ear, and Asta gets a very bad blush on his face. Then Neri holds Asta's cheeks and kisses Asta. This goes on for at least half an hour, until Asta finally passes out. Now let me explain. Asta's ears are the most sensitive thing on his body. So all the sensitive things that would have been there, so like Asta's tail. So like if you had pulled Asta's tail, because he would have naturally had one because he's half demon. But that's not what we're here for. You see, if you had touched Asta's tail, his whole body would shut down. So since he doesn't have his tail, and since he's not a full demon, that sensitivity goes to the ears. But his willpower gave him the ability to hold on just a little bit longer but Asta finally passed out after that. So technically the only way to like beat Asta is kind of rubbing his ears at the back. But hey. Anyways, so they time skip, and we see Yami training Asta, Noel, Neri, and Mimosa to learn Mana Zone. And Noel gets it down, and Mimosa gets it down first since they're in the forest. Noel gets it down second, but Asta kinda had a hard time doing it. This is the first that Asta actually had to try to do something, so it's pretty a new feeling to him. He keeps on trying and trying until he says Mana Zone, and then a flood of mana comes barreling towards Asta. Now they realize why Asta couldn't do it properly. Since literally the sun is fucking Mana Zone. I don't understand this. Asta's overpowered with Mana Zone. Of what I can understand of Mana Zone, I might not. I let's be honest here. I don't know 100% all about Mana Zone. I know, kind of being a bad whatever YouTuber, but like I'm trying, but I couldn't find it, and I was not. If I couldn't find it just now, so I'm not gonna I'm gonna postpone looking for it now. I'm gonna go and look for it after I'm finished this, but that doesn't matter right now. Asta's so what I can understand, it takes mana from the nurturing places. So if you used mana of their specific element, so what I'm thinking here is, what if Asta has Mana Zone and he has light magic and he does Mana Zone, technically the world is his Mana Zone, technically, of how what I can understand it. So if you feel to correct me on how I think about it, yeah, you can. And I just might change it to suit my purposes because I am like that. So Asta, so Yuna does her same training, but a little bit harder because Asta also has wind magic. So he kind of trained for a little bit, but not a lot. But I'm leaving out spaces because I have a lot of things to bring up and a lot of plot holes to cover. So yeah. So the Magic Knight exams would come out, and Asta would go to the Magic Knight exams. He would, well, no, he would actually be in the kingdom before this in the Magic Knight exams, kind of getting his rooms ready and like having to like take a crash course on fucking royalty, cause like yeah, yeah, he has to take a crash course on royalty right now, and the girls are kind of laughing at him because every time he comes back from like home, when they comes back home where they actually live in Asta's like castle right now, he kind of burnt out all the time. So yeah, Yuno is also there, but like he's not in there. He's in there, but he's not like he doesn't spend a lot of time in there. He mostly goes out to train, cause like he tries to surpass his brother. Like it's Asta though. Anyways, Asta's always like pooped when he comes back home. So like, so so the Magic Knight exam, he goes checks into his grimoire, and he's the first one there. So he waits at him, Noel, Mimosa, and Nero are the first ones there. So they go around their coordinations. So if Mimosa, if Mimosa gets all, if she gets her hands raised for like Golden Dawn, she can like, she should go into the Golden Dawn. Me, Neri, and me, Noel, and Neri will go to the Black Bulls, because unlike them, it's either their families are dead or their family doesn't expect much from them, so they technically don't have to actually try. But most on the other hand, her family expects something of her, so they kind of, so she kind of technically has to like do her thing. So Asta would do like the test, and he would ace all of them. I'm not trying to go through all of them. And when he gets his hand raised, yeah, he picks up apples. I just named it. I don't want to go through like the test because Asta's gonna finesse everybody, and they expect it because again, Asta's the prince of the Clover Kingdom. So, anyways, Asta goes to the Black Bulls now. Yay! Anyways, Asta goes to the Black Bulls and they meet Asta. Asta takes a liking to like look really fast because Asta also has a drive to fight strong people. But they'll get back into that later. Yami would punch the wall and tell them, listen up. You're gonna have a new Black Bulls member. Well, your vice captain to be blunt, to put it bluntly. Now, though, Yami, you remember Yami had his brown or leather armor on his legs and stuff? Instead of it being brown leather, it's like a gray leather. So like he has gray on it, and he has a skin tight sleeveless turtleneck. So like his shirt goes all the way up to his like neck. It's on his neck. So like yeah, and he still has his sword and his hilt. Everything that was brown on his like armor thingy was like is now gray, and his plants are still black, and his skin tight like sleeveless turtleneck is black. So yeah, and he still has his like his Black Bulls cloak thing. So Asta would look at them and shake, and they would see their new captain. I mean vice captain. They would know Asta's the prince and understand why he's the vice captain, and they wouldn't really question his power. Asta would clap his hand and say, "Okay, so I've known your powers and known you for a long time before you knew me." They will look at Asta puzzledly. Asta would tell them, "I've been here on several occasions. I've hidden my presence to spy on you. Me, Mimosa, Noel, and Neri have been spying on you for a very long time. Noel and Neri would nod their heads and tell them that they have been spying on them for a long time. Yami asked me to when I become vice captain to start training you, and I've done so. Using a combination of me and Neri using her sealing magic and me using creation magic and giving samples of your magic affinities and magic types, we've been able to make kind of books of spells for you. So you know how like if you find a spell, a wind spell significantly, if you find one of those, you can like put it in your grimoire and now you have a spell. That's basically what they made. So Asta hands out the books, and for Finral, I'm gonna just list out the magic. Finral has Kamui, which is like swirl, putting his spatial magic into like a swirl and using it to absorb himself into his spatial magic, or put stuff out of his spatial magic. Void, which he creates his own plane of reality, which he can teleport people there, or place people there, or take up people there, or store things there. Magic weapon called Kamui Scythe, which is a magical item that Asta gave him, using his specific mana to make the weapon. The weapon has the special ability to phase through stuff, and Kamui intangibility. Now, what? So technically, he's using the I'm using Obito as a like figure for Finwell's magic. I'm gonna kind of like make his features look like Obito, but not much. Maybe just his hair, but like nothing major. So then his other spell would be Kamui intangibility. Kamui guiding thunder, our spatial magic guiding thunder, which is basically teleporting an attack somewhere else. And Kamui Kamui spatial magic dome, so you can teleport anywhere in the spatial magic dome. So then it goes to luck. Let's get Keating, electromagnetic murder, lightning hounds, lightning tiger, lightning dragon roar, lightning cloak version 1, lightning cloak version 2, version 3, and one finger assault. What? No. 3-finger assault, 2-finger assault, and 1-finger assault. If you don't know, that's what the third Raikage, I believe, third Raikage used against Naruto, and like most of like fucking everybody, and finessed everybody. Yeah. And his special weapon is called Raikiri, which is basically one of Killer Bee's short swords that he had, with like the red and yellow hilt with like the straight pointy sword. Yeah, basically that, which it can conduct natural lightning. So if luck was to put mana into the sword, it would attract natural lightning to the sword, and he would have to build up a resistance to recharge, so he can recharge his mana and use more powerful spells while doing that technique of sorts. So Asta would be all about that shit, right? And Vanessa, she would have a technique called puppet, red string of fate, and puppet mastery, or puppet movement, like, and wire strings, and that'll be it for her, because I haven't got much on her. And that'll be it, because I don't have much on the back bulls. I'll get more spells. Guys, if you want a person to get a certain spell, comment down what the spell can do, and like I'll integrate it to like whoever you want it to be. So I still would take the boys and tell them that you kind of need a makeover, especially you, Finno. You're ugly AF, and Finno will be kind of offended by that. But do you want girls or not? I can do that for you, okay? And Finno will be like, I. Now Finno, he would create 2 clones, and they would go behind. One clone would go behind Luck, and one clone would go behind Magma, and the real Asta would be in behind funeral. Funeral. Oh, I didn't say Magnus magic. Let me go into that. I'll do that later. Oh, oh. Magma now has fire dragon, fire breath, phoenix flower, majestic flame, phoenix, supreme phoenix emperor flame, and and gracious axe Rita, which can when heat is the axe itself can absorb heat and turn that heat into a heat wave, which pulls down the opponent's mana and stamina to making them weaker. So yeah, that's what Magnus thinks to do. So let's get back into it. Asta would say partial reconfiguration. Asta cannot fully reconfigure someone's body into something fucking new, but he can change certain parts of the body. Asta would tell them that they would feel a change in the morning, and he would tell everyone to go to sleep. Asta would rub his head and tell Yami that he was really stacking on training them. Yami would nudge his soldiers and say, "Yeah, I've been training you for the past few years. I technically should have been doing that, but hey." So Asta rolls his eyes, and Neri and Noel rolls her eyes with Asta, and he would ask, "What you're rolling your eyes at, stupid student number one?" If you know what anime that is from, I'll give you a hint. It's have something to do with Exorcist, and it has twin in it. So like, if you can dot those two together, so like, if you know what that anime is, actually the anime is pretty interesting. I actually don't know if it's ended yet. I'm watching 50 episodes of it, and it ended at 50 episodes. I don't know if there's a season 2 or what, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, and if you manage to find out what the show is from, you will get a shout out. I'll shout you out in like the video. So, hey, uh, deuces. So Asta goes and he decides to book it. Right, he goes outside, and then night falls. Then they see something strange. Hold up. Then people come outside and they see this at the back of their house. Asta overnight have been reconfiguring the trees and the earth itself to make a whole new base in favor of Yami's old town. So everyone sees this, and then when they go to the entrance of the place, they see girls, well, puppet girls technically, puppet girls in black and white kimonos, and then they see men puppets in black and white tuxedos or suits, whatever you want to call them. They all bow their head at once, saying, "Hello, masters." And they see this. Then the puppets tell them that inside they would find their new designated outfits that was picked out for them. So they would go in the house, and I'm just gonna narrow down some of them because I don't know most of them. I'm sorry. So Vanessa would have a shorter like skirt and more tactical wearing for a puppet master, which she understood. That her dress was kind of too long for like puppet mastery, so her dress is kind of a little shorter, and like I believe her dress was down to her like knees, so was below her knees. So I don't know. I can't remember. So Luck would go into his closet and he would see a long sleeve blue a long sleeve dark blue shirt with red with a black bull sign on the back and a tush on each side of the shoulders in red. So like the black bull's insignia was yellow, was unlike its yellow color. It would normally be its red this time. And then he would see a jacket that was a cloud jacket basically, but in the just what happened, it would be gray and red, not white and red. And he would have on black pants with his ankles being wrapped up in bandages and having on shinobi shoes. So he kind of looks, and now look is at least is 2 times more taller, and one of his eyes are covered by his now luscious golden hair, but his hair is still spiky though. But only that one of his eyes is covered by the by the his hair, only one of his eyes, and his eyes have became a darker blue. But anyways, Magma would go on. He would see a Trunks that looks exactly like Trunks' jacket, but instead the capsule quartz insignia that was on it, it would be black. It would be a black bull insignia. He would hold on a black long sleeve shirt, just like Lux's long sleeve shirt, but he wouldn't have the bandages on the ankle. He would still have his black pants, but he would have boots, and he would have his belt buckle would have a silver skull on it. Luck would actually love his new outfit, cause he looks drippy, bruh. His hair would now be black and have a purple strand in it. It'd be mostly black and have one purple strand in it. Luck would go into his room and he would find basically you'd basically I'll just explain it. He would have the kanji for teleportation on his left shoulder with the black bull's insignia on the back in red. He would have on boots with red laces on them. He would have on boots with red laces on it. He would have a black belt with a silver buckle, and his hair would be different now. His hair would be mostly black, but it had in the middle of his head. He had a black and green. He had black and green hair that was put into like a braid in the middle of his face, with the insignia of his household holding it together. They would all three of them would look into the mirror and see that they have extremely changed. They look more handsome. Looks taller. So basically, why Asta did this was because they would have been getting complaints that looks too much like a kid. Magma looks like a delinquent and is very scary, and Finral just looks straight up ugly. So nobody else want him to help them. So they've been getting complaints, right? So everyone just admired themselves in the mirror and just they saying they're drippy. So after that, this is where we left off the video. It was not supposed to be this long, but it was supposed to be this long, but that's how the cookie crumbles. But anyways.